They say the world should be perfection, but the truth is, perfection only lives in the spaces we can't control, like in her glance when she thinks you're not looking, in the silence after she laughs at something you said but doesn't quite understand why it made her feel safe, or in the way she brushes her hair behind her ear as if she's revealing something she doesn't even know she's hiding. Welcome to Stoic Spirit. Today, we're stepping into a world few men ever truly understand. The world of subtle female psychology, where real attraction lives not in the words she says, but in the emotions she cannot hide. You've been told to chase status, money, muscles, to be alpha in the loudest way possible. But what if I told you women aren't falling for what you show, but for how you make them feel without even touching them? That what really draws her in isn't your logic, but the emotional fingerprint you leave on her mind, the tension you build without her realizing, and the story she starts telling herself when you walk away. Women pretend they're in control, that nothing phases them, that they've seen it all, but under the surface of every self-proclaimed boss babe, every girl who swears she doesn't need a man, is a hidden vulnerability she's waiting for the right man to touch, and not with words, but with presence. You see, most men never make it past her defenses because they don't know what they're really trying to unlock. They think it's about looks, charm, or cheesy pickup lines, but real attraction is psychological warfare, silent, primal, emotional. And it all begins with a man who knows how to create tension. Not forced tension, not fake confidence, but an emotional undertone that speaks louder than words. The kind of man who doesn't react too quickly, who pauses before speaking, who makes her wait. Not out of arrogance, but because he doesn't need her to validate his worth. That's where it starts, the touch of a man who isn't desperate. She might tell herself she's not interested, but when he casually places his hand on her lower back to guide her through a door, or his fingers brush her wrist as he leans in just slightly closer than necessary, she feels something that bypasses her logic and hits straight into her biology. Oxytocin spikes, her pulse quickens, and suddenly she's wondering why the man who said almost nothing has her thinking about him all night. That's not manipulation, that's psychology. Controlled touch is one of the first triggers of deep female attraction. Not groping, not rushing, just presence, intention. And that's where most men fail. They're either too afraid to touch or too desperate to prove something. But the man who touches like he knows who he is, that's the man who melts her mask. Because for women, attraction is not built through a checklist. It's built through moments, emotional spikes, and the feeling of being chosen, not chased. But the game doesn't end there. In fact, it hasn't even started. Once you create that initial spark, the next thing she needs to feel is the illusion of inaccessibility, the forbidden fruit effect. She needs to know she's not the center of your universe, that you're a world she's being invited into, not a man orbiting around hers. The scarcity principle, as psychologist Robert Cialdini described, is lethal when applied to attraction. If you're always texting first, always available, always emotionally open too soon, you strip her of the one thing that keeps attraction alive: uncertainty. And women don't fall for certainty. They fall for the question marks, the thrill of not knowing whether they fully have you. When a man is slightly elusive, a little unpredictable, and doesn't make her feel like she's already won, she starts investing more. The moment you show you're not afraid to walk away is the moment she starts chasing you, not because she's manipulative, but because you've become valuable in her emotional world. And once that seed is planted, jealousy starts working in your favor. Most men run from it, thinking it's toxic, but women respond powerfully to competition. When she sees other women notice you, laugh at your jokes, light up when you speak, her instincts scream, "Protect the prize." That's not insecurity, it's nature. Social proof is one of the strongest emotional triggers. She doesn't want the man no one else wants. She wants the man other women admire, but who chooses her without needing her. But even then, she won't stay unless you know how to keep the emotional roller coaster alive. Women don't get addicted to stability. They get addicted to emotional contrast, ups and downs, silence followed by connection, distance followed by intimacy. Too many men flatten the curve, trying to be steady, logical, always kind, always consistent, and they become background noise. But the man who gives her unpredictability, who one day challenges her and the next makes her laugh like she's the only woman in the room, that man owns real estate in her mind. Emotional tension is the drug she can't quit, and the best dealers never let you overdose. They give you just enough to crave more. Now combine that with a voice that doesn't beg for her attention, but commands it, and you've activated another primal switch. Studies show that deep, controlled, paced speech triggers subconscious associations with strength, dominance, and sexual fitness. It's not about being a radio announcer. It's about owning your breath, controlling your pauses, speaking like your words matter. Because they do, especially to her. A slow pause before you answer her question builds suspense. It makes her lean in. That lean-in moment, that's desire. But here's the part most men ignore. A woman's deepest attraction lives in what you don't give her, in what you don't explain, in what you let her imagine. If you tell her everything, your every thought, your entire history, you rob her of fantasy. And women fall for the story they build around you, not just the facts. So give her pieces, give her moments. Let her wonder what you're thinking. Let her fill in the gaps. The less you reveal, the more space she has to get lost in you. Fantasy is powerful, but fantasy alone is not enough. You must also lead. The man who takes control without controlling, who leads without demanding, who says, "We're doing this," instead of, "What do you want to do?" That man doesn't just become attractive, he becomes unforgettable. Because women don't want to carry the masculine load. They want to feel safe surrendering into their feminine, but they can only do that when you show them you can carry the weight. If you seek her validation, she loses respect. But if you calmly hold your ground, make decisions, and take initiative, she instinctively sees you as the emotional leader, and her desire builds. And once she sees you as the leader, she begins to crave emotional stimulation from you. She doesn't want a boring, safe space. She wants a man who makes her feel something. Anger, laughter, butterflies, mystery. She wants the full spectrum, because her attraction isn't logical, it's chemical, and the man who keeps that emotional variety alive will never be forgotten. But the most dangerous weapon you hold as a man, the one that can create obsession, is the submissive trigger. And no, this isn't about domination or control. It's about creating a space where she feels your masculine presence so deeply that she lets go of her need to be strong. When you show up calm, grounded, physically confident, mentally unshaken, she relaxes. Her body softens, her voice changes, her resistance fades. Because for the first time in a long time, she feels like she can be vulnerable without being hurt. And in that surrender, she finds her deepest desire, not to control the man, but to be wrapped in his presence. Most men don't trigger this because they're too reactive, too insecure, or too aggressive. But the man who stands firm, who listens without trying to fix, who holds eye contact without flinching, that man becomes unforgettable. She might not even understand why she feels drawn to him. She'll just feel it. And that's the point. The deepest level of attraction isn't explained, it's experienced. And now that you understand how women fall, not through logic, but through layered emotional cues, you have a choice. You can be another guy trying to impress her with your achievements, or you can be the man who gets inside her head, who lingers in her memory, not because of what you said, but because of how you made her feel. The world tells you to be perfect, But what she really wants is a man who makes her feel something perfect. And that's the difference most never learn. You've just entered a world where every action, every silence, every moment matters. So if you want to unlock what most men never will, don't just listen, feel. Watch for the signs, build the tension, and remember, her attraction lives in the spaces you leave untouched. The real story has only just begun.